What moment in an argument made you realize this person is an idiot and there is no winning scenario? After asking them to go home because they were quite clearly sick with a cold. Being told don't be stupid. There's no such thing as colds. It's just allergies to the cold weather. Well, and third degree burns are just being allergic to being on fire. Because the human body has evolved to heal itself of all diseases and illnesses. That a natural diet is all that is needed. Sometimes loads of garlic is required for those extra stubborn issues like a cancer. Had an argument with someone who convinced a friend to stop their chemo and rely on healing crystals to cure them of their cancer. Friend later died of cancer. He had an aversion to Stephen King. Thought Stephen King only wrote gory trash with no redeeming value. That everyone who reads Stephen King had mental issues. And his favorite movie was The Shawshank Redemption. Even after I showed the credits both on IMDb and Wikipedia, he refused to believe that degenerate Stephen King was in any way, shape or form involved with his dearly beloved film. This has happened to Stephen King. There's a few audience with videos on YouTube talking at various campuses and events etc. He tells this story of going into a Floridan supermarket and an old lady telling him she didn't like horror stories but like uplifting stories like that Shawshank Redemption. King says, I wrote that. She replies, no you didn't, and walks off. One of my many stories from working in a discount shoe store. Woman with 3 boys under the age of 12 come in. Woman goes up to the counter. Woman, I need to exchange these shoes in for a different size. Me, okay, let me get that started for you. Normally we can exchange shoes in for the same model just in a size up or down. It's pretty common for parents to buy shoes underestimating how much their kids have grown and come in for a bigger size. Anyway, I opened the box. The shoes are completely trashed. Toe blown out. The sole is peeling off. And they smell to high heaven. Me, Mom, I'm sorry but I can't make an exchange for these shoes. Woman, well why not? Me, I wouldn't be able to resell them but I think we still have this style if you wanted to purchase a new pair. Woman, why can't I just exchange these shoes for a bigger size? Insert store name here, has always let me exchange shoes when my kid grows out of them. Me, Mom, I'm sorry that someone has told you we do that but that's not a policy we have. I can return or exchange shoes that are in good enough condition to be resold but I can't resell these. Woman, other stores have let me exchange them. Me, which store have you done this with? Woman, can I speak to your manager? And that's when I knew. There we no winning with this B. I've had someone do this with like a free hot dog for first time customers. They wanted a slice of pizza and said he was allowed to exchange it before. It was hilarious. I got to ask them if they were lying before or now. If you were allowed to get pizza before then you're not a first time customer so no free anything for you. If you're lying now then you should have no expectation of being able to exchange free hot dog for pizza. A friend of mine said in an argument that only mentally weak people suffer from mental health problems. Back when I was 10 or something, my older sister yelled at me for swearing. I was not swearing. I was just yelling really loud. Probably shouldn't have been but whatever. After I point this out she continues to tell me that yelling and swearing are the same thing and in order to prove it she whispered F. I wish we weren't related. -200 IQ. We had a new assistant at work who was not fitting in with the team. I sat her down and talked to her about expectations and reviewed the responsibilities of the position several times. In one last effort to help her, I thought I'd see which parts of the job she liked. I asked her, what skill do you think is your strongest skill? And she said, delegating. When she kept trying to change the subject, every time she realized she was wrong, I stayed with verifiable facts. She went all over the map, bringing up "I did like 5 years ago. You can't turn right at this red light. The sign says so right there. Well, you burnt that craft dinner that one time. You didn't read those instructions. Did you? Who the hell burns craft dinner? You can't turn right at this red light. The sign says so right there. I hate that when people are mad at you for something and suddenly bring up a bunch of old you did that made them mad at the time to add fuel to the fire. When a computer exchange manager insisted to me it was impossible for a laptop CPU to hit over 100C because that would melt gold. His tech expert buddy backing him up the whole time. For those too lazy to look it up, but still curious. The actual melting point of gold is over 1000 degrees C, almost 2000 degrees F. An old roommate of mine was trying to say we were blackmailing her when we were asking her to take out her trash, etc. She said, watch the Lizzie McGuire movie, there's blackmail in there and it's obvious that's what you're doing to me. I believe it goes without saying that she never cleaned up after herself, nor did she understand that movie. Damn. The Lizzie McGuire movie is darker than I thought. Ended up being a win-win situation. After a week of constant arguing and telling my now ex-boyfriend and telling him in no uncertain terms that we are over, he came to me one morning and said, well, if you don't want to work on this, I don't think we should be together anymore. I just agreed. This happened to a friend of mine. In high school she broke up with this guy, but for some reason it just didn't compute. She must have re-broken up with him at least 6 times with varying degrees of privacy and attitude on the phone, in person, in class, in the hallway. Everyone knew they had broken up except him. One day I am hanging out at her house when the phone rings. Old Timmy phone with a cord to the wall. No speaker phone. No caller ID. And I hear her side of a very weird conversation. Hello? This is. Yay. Perplexed look. Yay. Okay. Okay. Yay. Bye. She looks at me and deadpans. That was guy. He just broke up with me. He says that we shouldn't date anymore. Whatever guy. This friend of mine was always late when we wanted to hang out. Sometimes she even cancelled last minute, 10 minutes before the time we were supposed to meet. I once made a joke saying we all knew she was the worst when having to meet her because she was so unorganized and cancelled so many events. A few days before she was leaving for college we were meant to meet. So I arrived late knowing she was going to be anyway. Waited for her for about an hour or so. But it was the last day I could meet with her, so I didn't mind that much and I asked a friend to wait with me. I received a message 1.5 hours later saying, I'm not coming and don't even bother me asking why. I don't have to justify when I arrive later. That day I realized she wasn't worth it. Because yes, I deserve an explanation when waiting you for almost 2 hours. It was a friend like this that was habitually late that caused me to make the 30-minute rule. I'll only wait half an hour then I'm leaving. Someone who is dating my roommate considers herself to be environmentally conscious. She claimed that napkins were bad for the environment and they increase one's carbon footprint. She ranted about it to me in my own home. Even though I don't even buy napkins. Maybe a week or so later, she noticed I use a reusable coffee filter and berated me for not using disposable paper filters. I told her that using a reusable filter cuts down on the amount of waste that we produce when brewing coffee, so not only do I not contribute to filling up landfills with paper filters, but I also save money from not buying them in the first place and just cleaning the plastic one. She told me that since paper filters are biodegradable, there is no reason for me to refrain from using them. But napkins are made of paper. Napkins are made of paper. She literally just wanted to stand on a soapbox and hear herself talk. She derives pleasure from telling others that they are wrong, regardless of whether or not they are actually wrong. There is no winning an argument with her. This is even worse than you think. If anything, the napkins would be better for the environment as some napkins are made with recycled paper, however coffee are typically not. When he countered my fact-based argument with "that's just your opinion." No. Dude. It's not. I just listed the responsibilities on your job description. Okay, I admit that everything you've said is right. But you're still wrong. Discussing housing policy. When I was arguing with someone about why milk doesn't go in first when making a cup of tea, a very English debate, and his argument was when you add boiling water to cold milk, you're warming it up. But when you add cold milk to boiling water, you're cooling it down. And I don't want cold tea. I tried to explain how the end temperature will be exactly the same regardless, but he was already celebrating his self-awarded victory. My cousins are flat earthers. When lack of evidence is just proof of a conspiracy, it's best to just disengage. You can't break into that prison they have to break out. You can't reason someone out of a position they didn't reason themselves into. You shouldn't tip because waiters are too dumb and uneducated to know what to do with all that money. Every time on Reddit you give an opinion and everyone tells you you're wrong. And I don't mean here are some facts that show your opinion to be a stupid one. But when you say you like to film, that's never happened to me. So you must be wrong. A guy said to me, anecdotal evidence is all I need because it describes my truth. And my truth is reality. Bruh. Then splash a glass of water in his face and say welcome to my reality. Anytime someone tells me to prove something doesn't exist, the old shifting the burden of proof stick never gets old. That second-hand smoke doesn't affect me. In 7th grade a few classmates found out that a girl has started smoking already. When they told her how unhealthy that is, she said the following with a full-on smug face: no. It is actually more unhealthy not to smoke because when I smoke I blow the bad smoke out of my mouth in your direction. So you inhale all the bad parts of the cigarette and get cancer. We just looked at each other and stopped speaking to her at that point. I was asked if I could prove that more people die of cancer than fat shaming. Threw my hands up and walked away. People who say stuff like okay, that's your opinion. But I have my own when discussing about objective facts. Like science issues. Meaning of words. I remember discussing the act of placing your palms together and bowing in the context of a greeting. This guy was trying to argue that it was a common thing in Japan. It isn't. I'm Japanese and have lived in Japan. He's American and has never been to Japan. He was saying I must be wrong because he experienced it once. In a Japanese restaurant in Thailand. They tried to say you're a freshman was correct grammar rather than you're a freshman. Keep in mind. They are majoring in language and they're a senior. You're a fresh man. I always tell people like this, okay, let's go ask the teacher then. They're usually so confident they will make a fool of themselves. I absolutely love it. Unless the teacher is an idiot too. I had a biology teacher who said a human can't survive without a lung. And if you had one lung removed you'd be hospital bound forever. Which just, no. When she said I don't have to be rational. When discussing how and waddles are made. Do you even know where the prostate is? Yeah, it's in your balls. Edit, my most upvoted comment ever is about the prostate. I love this app. The prostate is stored in the balls. When they were claiming all the facts I presented about the earth being round and older than 10.000 years was fake. A month ago I honestly believed people were just taking the piss when talking about flat earthers. But now I'm scared for our planet's future. That whole please provide proof of every point you've made using sources I approve of thing when they've shown you made up from nonsense sources. And then add the I'll wait. Yeah? Do your own homework and you're right. You will wait. Forever. The airlock is that way. Got into it once with my brother-in-law. Who is a moon landing denier. Every one of his sources were conspiracy blogs talking about how certain things were impossible. Without saying why or how. Unless it was nonsense techno babble. This is a longer story. But that's enough to get to know it. In class we were discussing what would happen if the sun disappeared and this one girl said we would all fly off the earth. I told her the earth has its own gravitational pull and she just said no it doesn't. So I said, do you know what gravity is? She says yes. I say it's the force that pulls you to the ground. Right? She says yes. So I point out the window to the sun and say if the sun is up there. Then I point to the ground, how does it pull us down? She says I don't know but it just does. Stop trying to make me feel dumb. I saw this in a YouTube video once about what would happen if the sun disappeared. I just walked away. A coworker went on a rant about how all teachers are lazy and only work from 8-3 while taking loads of holiday time while doing minimal work. I come from a family of teachers. So I could see the time put in at home. The lost weekends. The days of doing work till 7 PM. The last 2 weeks of every summer holiday spent in school prepping the classroom for the next year. Buying materials out of their own pocket because the school budget wouldn't cover it. My co-worker's response: well, I'm a parent so I know more about it than you do. I nearly flipped my effing lid. The thing with opinions about teachers is that since everyone went to school, everyone feel like a specialist of what teaching is about. The truth is that, as a student, you have no idea what the teacher is doing.